Hi everyone, yeah, basically this video is just a quick guide on how you can make your own solder braid. I've actually showed this in one of my other longer videos, but yeah, a lot of people have sort of asked about it and said how great it was, so I just thought I'd give it its own little video. So yeah, people just choose to watch this one if they need. So basically, yeah, what I've got, basically you make your own solder braid or solder wick, as some people know it, basically out of sort of general earth wire. Yeah, basically I've got different sort of thicknesses or different strands in there. So if you've got any sort of old earth wire with sort of quite thin copper strands inside, it makes amazing solder braid. So if you ever sort of find yourself in a position like this where your sort of solder braid reel's empty and you've actually got some of this laying around, this stuff makes amazing braid. It's as good as the real thing. I'll sort of do you a few demos after this chat and sort of show you how to make it. And yeah, it really works well. So like I say, get you out of trouble at times. It's got me out of trouble. So what I do, we'll get straight on with sort of showing you how we make it, and then so I'll do a few videos after that of showing you how well it works. So I move on to the making stage now. Right, I'll quickly show you how you can now turn your sort of earth wire into your amazing braid. So all you do, for the sake of this video, I'm just going to strip a couple of inches of sleeving off just to sort of prepare a small amount of braid, but you can always sort of prepare as much as you want of this stuff. What you're going to do is pull the sleeving off. With the last piece I tend to leave it just on the ends of the inner strands like so, and I can just twist that quite tight. It's quite important for doing this braid. And basically just get some flat nose pliers, just squeeze it along the whole length. It should start taking shape to what your braid would look like originally. So it's nice and flat. I'll just trim the end of, just get that nice and straight. Just trim the end off of that and get rid of the last piece of sleeving. So as you can see, I've got a nice sort of thickness on the braid there. Just zoom in on that. And then, so yes, so you should end up with a nice sort of flatness like that. Strands nice and tightly twisted, sort of thickness about that, so it's similar to sort of, yeah, generally similar to, sort of to normal braid, and that's what it's going to look like. So yeah, basically strip it, twist it tight, flatten it with flat nose pliers, you should end up with it looking like this. So what I'm going to do, we're going to move on to a few demonstrations. I'll put this into action and I'll sort of show you how well it really can work. So move on to them demonstrations now. Right, so move on to the first example. As you can see, I've got a short on pins 5 and 6 of this IC. So what I've done, I've just put a tiny bit of flux on the end of the homemade braid. We're going to go straight in, just wick that off. So it come off really nice, it goes straight up the braid. It works just as well as normal stuff. Just going to take that in so you can see that this is actually the same braid. So there you go, let's just wick that off really nice. And yeah, that's an example of how it can work. So if you add some flux to your braid, it goes straight up it with a lot more ease. So yeah, I'll put a few more examples up, and yeah, and hopefully you sort of see how good this braid can be. Right, so moving on from the IC short, I've just removed to come to this blocked hole. So again, I've got my homemade braid. I've dipped it into some flux again to aid the solder. Even if it's proper braid, I still dip it into flux. And you should see the solder go straight up the braid and nicely clear that hole. There you go, it's nice and clear. So I'm just going to pull that over so you see it's the homemade stuff again. I'm not cheating the test, and yeah, that's how great it can be. So I'm just going to sort of do a really large hole now with a sort of slightly bigger earth braid, same again, and I'll show you a method for clearing that. Coming to this large hole in the middle of the screen now, as you can see below it, I've got some general sort of connector holes, so you can see how large the one in the middle of your screen is. So if I get a hole like this, what I tend to do, so I've got my homemade braid, I'll just bring the sleeving over, so you can see it's the homemade stuff. So what I do, because braid's only got a certain wicking distance, it can only take so much before it gets sort of filled up, and you have to sort of trim it off and start with fresh stuff. If you sort of add it sort of like this, the solder will travel both ways, so you can get sort of twice as much wicked up at one time. So again, I've sort of, yes, so I've added some flux to the braid. I've got a different size tip on this time. And so yeah, basically the solder's gone both ways, and that should, yeah, there you go, it's pulled it off nicely in one go, cleared that hole out nicely. And that's yeah, that's how effective this homemade stuff can be. So like I say, if you get a giant hole, put the braid sort of slightly sort of off both sides, and it wick up twice the amount. So hopefully, yeah, anyway, hopefully them 3 methods have sort of showed you how good this braid can be. So if you've got any sort of a spare earth wire laying around and you want run out of your sort of braid, yeah, turn it into sort of homemade stuff, and should get you out of trouble. So anyway, thanks for watching this short video, and I'll be back soon with yeah, more normal length videos with some more soldering tips. So until next time, thanks a lot, and I'll see you soon.